So today we're talking about quarter life crisis. And we're talking about this because it really impacts us on our life. The first time that we're hit by this crisis, it's basically feelings of discouragement, disappointment, or just feeling directionless. Like, what should I be doing in my life? Is this really the job and career that I'm going to do for the rest of my life, even though I don't really like it? Is this the place I'm gonna feel stuck, even though I really want to improve and advance myself? All these different questions pop up, and we just feel stunned. Like, I don't know what I want to do. Some people call it midlife crisis, some people call it quarter life crisis, but it's usually triggered by some kind of stressful event in your life, or or it can just happen for absolutely no reason, where something in your mind just clicked and you're kind of like soul searching and questioning the very foundation of your life, which can be incredibly stressful. Sometimes when I'm thinking about this, it really feels like, when you're in one of those PvP games where someone casts a spell and then stuns you. Yeah, you're literally just there stunned for maybe 5 seconds, and you're kind of looking around and you want to go and fight with everyone else, but you can't because you're here stunned and wondering about what you should do next and for the rest of your life. I feel like that's kind of, it's not like exact replica, but I feel like that's how it feels. So in this video, we're going to go over a list of steps that perhaps you can follow along if you are in this state, and be able to maybe work through the different thoughts, emotions that are inside of you, so that you can kind of walk along and basically help go through this process so you can be right back on track. So one of the first things that we need to understand is that no one has life figured out. Meaning, it's okay to be confused, it's okay to be imperfect, and you have to allow yourself to be willing to make those mistakes. Like, do you know how much mistakes I made just from making this video? Yeah, so it's more than I'm proud of, but life is full of mistakes. And if you're feeling stunned and having this feeling of you don't really know what you want to do, or how do you get out of feeling stuck, sometimes it is about taking steps that might be mistakes and allowing yourself to make those mistakes. Usually there are a lot of different paths that you can take, and it's about progression. It's about learning different skill sets on the way, and you become more valued as a person because you have acquired skills, experiences, and a lot of these skills and experiences comes from mistakes. So if you're at this stage where you're like, man, I feel confused, then let yourself be confused. Just don't stay there. Take steps towards understanding why you feel confused. What kind of things are causing you to rethink maybe directions in your life? Or think, man, why am I actually living this life? Or what kind of career should I have? Or what should my next steps be? Or simply just a time of recovery. Like a little pick-me-up time where you can just chill and relax a little bit and take a little pit stop and then right back on track. Now the next thing to really understand is that you have to really disconnect yourself. And when I'm saying disconnecting yourself, it's about pulling the plug from your friends, family, social media. I'm not talking about ignoring them. I'm talking about you have to start separating yourself and understanding what are your own thoughts and what are your friends' thoughts and what are your family's thoughts and what are maybe the things that the social media or the news are telling you, and what are those thoughts. Because you have to start to be able to listen to what exactly are your own opinions, your own thoughts, so we can start understanding the priorities that you have in life. And the thing that I find most practical is that you have to really just get into a room, or maybe like a nice quiet place outside for maybe about 30 minutes to an hour. Yeah, that's right, it's a good amount of time. Turn off your phone, turn off connections from the, I guess, not entire world, but for that 30 minutes, close yourself and isolate yourself so that you can start to really get the feeling of being unplugged from everything. Because within that first 5 to 15 minutes, you'll start to have these thoughts like, oh shoot, man, maybe I should check my social media on what people are saying. Oh, did I miss something? Oh, I need to check my phone. There'll be that constant urge to reach for the phone. And that is exactly what you are trying to separate yourself from. Disconnect. So that you will be able to set aside time for you to listen and to really not rediscover, but understand what exactly is the path that you want to take. Because think about it this way, for the first 10 to 20 years of our lives, we pretty much had someone else laid out that path for us. Because we don't already know about life. Like, we don't understand what life is, so we had someone else teach us what that life is about. So we had parents, teachers, friends, all of them kind of give us this layout, well, in school too, to kind of give us this whole path that we have to take until we are ready for society. But when you're looking at real life, there's no structure. It's like, job is probably your structure, but it's a whole complete different pace. So throughout this like 10-20 years of life, most of the decisions have already been made for you. Like where to spend your time, activities, studying, all these different things are already charted out for you. And I really feel bad for people who have to go through summer school and have their whole summer being charted out, because you need some free time or something. But having everything being laid out like so meticulously for the first part of your life, you never really had a chance to sit down and learn to be an independent thinker of, I have opinions, and how do I learn to actually live this life according to my thoughts and my opinions, rather than trying to look for another person to structure my life, or school, or family, or all these different things, because you're out of those systems. Now, no one else is going to tell you those things. So that's why you have to learn to formulate and think on your own. And it will feel like a lot of responsibility. So the best way, I think, in terms of organizing thoughts, and especially your fears and your goals, I really like just writing them out, because there's really something about listing something or saying something out loud that really neutralizes and gives you that feeling of control. Like, if I write out the fear of like, I'm scared to, I don't know, go outside and dance. Like, that might sound horrible, like embarrassing. If I write it out, now I know what my fears are. Now I feel like I have a control over it because I have awareness over what it is. So here, this is more like a brain dump. Like, you might sit there for using the 30 minutes an hour, just write down everything that comes into your mind. Especially look out for fears. Like, what are you afraid of happening? If things don't work out, what do you think is the worst possible things that might happen? If you don't get or achieve a certain point, what's the worst thing that could happen? Next, I want to list out our like goals. What do you really want to do in life? It can be anything. Write down, this is like brainstorming. Dump everything out. What are the things on your bucket list. Maybe you want to travel somewhere. Maybe you want to have a great friendships, relationships, whatever you want. Write everything out and start to list them, and so you're more and more aware of what kind of things that you actually want to do. And with this, there's no time constraint. Like, you can take as much time as you want because you might not have a practice of doing these things or listing these things out, and to make these things more tangible. And then after you have listed out all these things, have a small plan. The plan is not so much like you're going to exactly follow this plan. It's not like a very detailed plan. It's kind of like, if I want to learn how to be a painter, well, I'm using a lot of painting examples, and what's the next step that I want to do? Like, I have to learn how to hold a paintbrush, or maybe I have to learn to study under a teacher. Maybe I have to watch some painting tutorials. I'm gonna list out these rough things that I have to do in order to be a great painter. So list those steps out in terms of what you think are going to be the steps that you need to take to get to those points, and then let it flow. The chances of this being the exact plan is very low, but it gives you a sense of direction so that at least you can take a step towards something. And life is going to change and shift, but at least you have a direction. So those are the simple steps that I have for going through a midlife crisis. But these individual stages actually take much longer than like what I'm saying here. Like, this is not something that you can go through in a day or in a week and you'll be absolutely okay. Like, it's not something that you can fast forward. It's really about realigning and re-understanding and reorganizing your own thoughts, because you have hit a bump in the road and this has reshaped the way that you think. So in order to move forward in this new reality that you have to adapt to the way of that thinking. That means especially in the stage of disconnecting yourself and pulling yourself away and learning to have independent thoughts, those things might take a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month. And I'm talking about doing it a little bit every single day, so you get used to being by yourself, listening to yourself. And I'm not saying we're all amazing and right, but it's learning to understand that there is a voice inside of you and learning to understand what exactly it's trying to say. And that is it. So if you found this video helpful, you can subscribe, share, comment, or let me know if you have any other questions. And that is it. I will talk to you guys next time.